This is Lewis Mifflin's podcast, the review of Danny Taylor. The first test that took place was the multi-stage fitness test. His best score was 10.1 and had a rating of the normative data as good. This is a strength because he performed this test to a very good level and was one of the last ones standing when the test took place. And the normative data shows that he is performing a multi-stage fitness test to a good standard. It had a positive impact. This would have a positive impact on his sport. One reason would be that it would allow my client to play for the whole 1 hour and 30 minutes of his sport, which is football, because his fitness levels are up to the standards required. Another reason would be that this shows he is in good shape and isn't showing any signs of being unhealthy. Factors which affected the test result, the chance of getting a higher score in the test would be motivation, because my client isn't easily motivated. There was also no pushing him to carry on with the test when he was near the end. The next test that took place was a 1 minute press up test. His best score was 36 and this was an average rating. This is an area improvement for my client because the normative data states that his press up score is only in the average category, which is not good, because in football you need this strength to be much better. This is so you can use your strength to hold up another player so your team keeps hold of the ball. It would have a negative impact on his sport performance, and this is because he would not be strong enough to hold off other players, which would mean he would be losing the ball more for his team. Another reason would be that it would limit his fitness levels because press-ups work on your stomach muscles, and with stronger stomach muscles it allows you to run for longer. One factor which limited my client's chances of getting a higher score would be motivation, because doing press-ups for 1 minute to your maximum can be strenuous, and when he stopped in the last 10 seconds, people were pushing him to do some more, but he didn't have the motivation to carry it on. The next test was the sit and reach test, and his best score was 3. This is a very poor rating and this is an area for improvement, because it was in the very poor category, which is not acceptable, because in football you have to stretch and use flexibility to take on other players, or to stretch and reach the ball to bring it down and control it. It would have a negative impact on his sport performance, because he would lose the ball more often, because his flexibility may affect his movement with the ball and off the ball. Another reason would be that he may appear to be flat-footed and not on the move. This is because of his flexibility. Because it's poor, it will affect his movement. A factor which affected my client's performance on this test could be that many people who cannot stretch far enough find that they have short hamstrings. This does not reduce performances in a game, but it just stops people from stretching far. The next test that took place was the 35 metre sprint. His best score was 4.81, which has a good rating against the normative data. And this is a strength for my client because he's in the good category, which shows he has a good pace, which is a strength because you need this in his sport. It would have a positive impact on his sport performance, and this would be because he'll be able to beat defenders with pace to get in on goal and help his team score more goals, which is important for his position because he's a winger and a striker. Another reason why this has a positive effect on his sport is because his overall game will be quicker and he will be able to react quicker in the tight areas around the pitch. The factors which may have affected the test result, achieving an even better score was the surface. We took the test outside on the 3G Astro. Before we took the test, earlier in the morning it had rained, so the slippiness of the surface may have had an effect on the outcome. The next test was the vertical jump test, and his best score was 56. Against the normative data it shows that he had a superior rating, which is a massive strength. The impact it had on his sports performance was positive because he'll be able to jump up high for headers in games and help his team score more goals with headers. And also, being a striker, it is important that you're good at attacking headers to score goals. Another reason why it will have a positive impact on his sport is because he'll be able to hold the ball up and keep it for his team when the ball is played up to him in the air. He'll be able to jump up high and play a cushion header back to another player on his team. A factor that affected the test was the equipment that was used when it was taking place. The vertical jump board wasn't properly screwed on to the wall, which allowed the ball to be unbalanced. Another reason may have been the strictness of the test, because during the test Danny questioned the score that was given to him and stated that he thought it was higher. The next test was a hand grip test, and his best score was 38, which is very poor rating and an area for improvement. This is because the normative data shows that Danny's best score of 38 is in the very poor category, which shows that Danny needs to work on his hand grip by going to the gym and working on his wrist strength. This has a negative impact on his sports performance. One reason would be that he would not be able to hold off defenders with his hands when holding up the ball, which will result in him losing the ball. Another reason it would have a negative impact on his sports performance would be that he wouldn't be able to use his hand grip when tussling with other players to try and win the ball. A reason in which results may have been affected was the final test was a hand grip test, and he had a best score of 38, which was very poor and an area for improvement. This is because the normative data states that Danny's best score of 38 is in the very poor category. This shows that Danny needs to work on his hand grip by going to the gym and working on his wrist strength. This would have a negative impact on his sports performance. One reason would be that he would not be able to hold off defenders with his hands when holding up the ball, which will result in him losing the ball. Another reason it would have a negative impact on his performance would be that he wouldn't be able to use his hand grip when tussling with other defenders to try and win the ball. A reason in which the results may have been affected was the strictness of the test. This is because when the test was taken, the tester did not take a good look at the scores. Instead, he just glanced and wrote the score down, and he also didn't check whether Danny was performing the test correctly.